Hassel here, co-host of the Nerdy Man Room Show. And we proudly present to you Man Room Shorts. Your discretion is advised.
You had a chance this past week to watch, this past weekend to watch Halloween Kills,
I
and
did.
we're going to do a little review of that. But before we do, let me give a disclaimer that if anybody hasn't watched it and you don't want spoilers, skip ahead about 25 to 30 minutes. I can't give you an exact timestamp yet, but it's going to be about that long that we'll be talking about the Hassel. Give us a review of the plot, and
Because when Hassel gives a review, I'm just going to tell you people, oh, there will be spoilers. There will be spoilers. I mean,
and
I
along,
have such sights to show you. And this is a legit event configuration signed by Clive Barker himself. So, yeah, we're not fucking around here, guys.
and also for those who want to know, yeah, Monster does not watch scary movies, even though I go by that nickname. I'm not a big scary movie person as far as watching that. I love to read the plots because I like the supernatural stuff. But no, I have not seen it. I have read the plot of it, and I have my own thoughts after reading the plot. This kind of like I had some questionable things, and I'll bring those up as you go through. But I'm going to kick it off to you to review the movie because I have not personally seen it.
Well, starting off, I got my Smiths Grove Sanitarium shirt. Shout out to old Mikey there. But the movie done quite well. Box office wise, it got $50 million. I mean, for a movie that broke out streaming and box office, 50 million is pretty damn good. David Gordon Green's the director, um, and he's already got the last final part in the can, from what I understand. Other than the fact that he has already come up with a twisted ending, different than what was filmed for the final movie. So he's already thinking of going back to reshoots, which is
So
which
so
there is an alternate ending that will be allowed. That this is one thing that is cool. With a lot of times people don't buy movies anymore because with streaming, why? It's a waste of shelf space. There is an
yeah,
alternate ending for Halloween Kills that you can only get if you buy the DVD, which is great marketing because before the movie ever dropped, like a week prior, they're like, "Hey, yo, I'm going to tell you what you get is the theatrical version. There is an alternate ending and extra scenes that will be allowed DVD only."
and just a quick question because I think they shot this movie in 2019 and revealed it at a film festival then, but then they held off on putting it out just because the pandemic hit around the time it was supposed to
They
come.
were really, really trying to go back to theaters, and this is where I think, as much as the studio wants to go back to theaters, I don't think we'll ever fully go back. You're going to have your people that want that, but to the studio, of course they want it because if they can make $100 million versus 50 million on opening weekend. But I mean, you're getting the money off those subscriptions. You're getting the
Right.
streaming money. Yes, you are seeing it. I mean, this guy is talented enough to where he $50 million plus streaming fees, and he's already been signed to direct Exorcist sequel trilogy already. So I mean, this guy, he definitely he loves the mythology. He pays attention. I loved it. I've seen some mixed reviews amongst some people. I don't get it myself. I know there was a petition before the movie ever even dropped about one of the opening scenes is well Myers he survives in epic fashion, so to speak. I mean, it's because even myself. I mean, I rewatched the 2018 version. I bet I've probably seen 2018 version about 25 times easily. And no telling how many times I've seen the 78 version. So this week, getting ready, or last week prior to that, I watched the 78 version again, the OG, and I rewatched the 2018. And even watching that, I'm like, man, he is engulfed in fire. How the fuck are you going to do this? That makes sense. So I mean, like, you kind of open with a flashback to 78, which is really great because they got a guy. He was actually a construction foreman. He just happened to look a lot like Donald Pleasance, and he wound up being your Dr. Loomis. I mean, because but you get very little of him. It's more Officer Hawkins' flashback to his rookie year and shows where he could have actually stopped Michael. It takes place seconds after Loomis has just pumped 6 shots into him, and he gets up and leaves. And it kind of flashes back as you get a shot of Lonnie, the kid from the first one. He tells him to get the hell away from the house. Myers comes right up on him, and he's a force of nature, man. It's like he might slaughter the hell out of you and then walk right past me, which is one of the beautiful things about Michael Myers, because I think he would walk past me. He's cool as shit, but he's very sporadic. He doesn't just because you come in his path doesn't mean you're going to die. But if you're in his fucking sights, you're done. It's over. So yeah, you get your flashback scene of the '70s, and you see why Hawkins is the way Hawkins is. You see how he is finally apprehended, because that's something I imagine most of us fans have like pondered for years. Like, okay, this son bitch just got up and walked away from 6 shots. And then your next scene in canon, once you've done away with all these other movies, he's in a mental institution. Smith's Grove, by the way. So how did he get there? And it finally explains that, which was pretty cool. And then it shoots right back up to the 2018. And just, the fire department comes to air, and, they're walking through the house, and the house is burning. Guy falls through the floor to where Michael is. And you're like, okay, is he on like fire down here? No, Michael was smart enough, like your little gun racks in the wall. He ducked up in one of them, pulls the door down to protect himself.
Huh.
And dude, that scene, that's going to be an iconic scene eventually, where that door just slowly creeps up, and there's Michael, and he's burned just enough to where it chars one side of the face. I'm sure you've seen the promotional pictures.
Yeah.
Where you still have the iconic look of Myers, but if you kind of just look at the shadowing of the burnt side, it almost gives you a jack-o'-lantern type look, because the mouth has got just a little bit through here, where it's like sunk in a few places to kind of give you the jagged mouth, so to speak, and the eyes a little more. But oh man, he wrecked shop. I think. Let me look. I think I may have actually wrote it down. The kill count of the movie is 34 people total. I mean, that's probably one of the bigger kill counts of any movie slasher wise. But I'm not sure how many firefighters it was. I hate to say some asshole will correct me, but he slaughters the hell out of all of them. And wow, from there, dude, it's a train ride. It's just boom, boom, boom. It's very, very few lulls in the movie. I will say I wasn't a big fan of Michael Anthony Hall playing Tommy Doyle. His portion of the movie just kind of seemed to lag. Nothing inspired me with this guy's speeches to say, you know what, I'm going to follow this bald-headed fuck down there and fuck Michael Myers up. No, sir. No, sir. Because a lot of people killed, including himself. He gets Negan'd. One of the better kills, I will say. There's some great kills, and you have a few spots with just a hint of some humor, but it's not Freddy humor where it's like over the top and like it's cheesy, And I'm a Freddy fan, but I mean, let's face it, the last couple of movies just got straight up cheesy. You get just a hint enough where you kind of drop your guard a little, and then because there's a homosexual couple bought the old Myers house. They turned it around. They fixed it to look pretty damn nice. Called Big John, Little John. And when Michael comes home, they have when you're anticipating where he is in the house, because he's there. He's fucking with him. And then it's like they're going through like, all right, Big John, this room's clear. Okay, Little John. And they're like communicating this way the whole time, and it's like something about it just kind of tickled me a little bit. But there's some great kills in it. I mean, there's another scene where there's a couple in there, like the wife she's playing with a drone. Michael gets a drone, throws it against the damn wall, and you're like, what the hell? because you don't know it's him. And the husband goes over there, and he's like, "There's a motherfucker in there with a mask. Run!" You just have those moments, man. And you're like laughing, but then next thing you know, there's one of the more brutal kills of the movie too, actually. So it's and that one, the wife kill. That's probably one of my favorite. It's pretty brutal. That's nice.
So overall, what would you grade the movie as?
I got to give it a 10. I give it 10 pumpkins out of 10 pumpkins, man. I mean, are there flaws with the movie? Yes. I've never seen a slasher that didn't have some flaws. I mean, because there are some things.
Every movie's
Come on,
going to.
but it's a good fun ride. I mean, you enjoy it the whole time. It's not like you're not going to. It's enjoyable enough to where you can lay your phone down for 2 hours and you're not worried about who the hell's texting you or did you get a Facebook notification. I mean, a lot of movies nowadays they grab you for 20, 30-minute increments and then you pick your phone up. This is one of those that, to me, it held me for the entire 2 hours, and I have ADHD, so I mean, you've done something when you do that. I mean, I was impressed with it. I loved it. I've watched it twice so far, so yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, you got the opening scenes. One of the cooler things to your Halloween fan is going to be, the guy that plays Myers in this, James Jude Courtney. He has probably done for Michael Myers what Kane Hodder did for Jason Voorhees. He is one of the few, well, he's like the first repeat actor. And I know some people are going to correct me and say Nick Castle, but it's only because he's had cameos in the other movies where they
Right.
allowed him the liberty and the pure out just respect of getting back in that mask and being in some, scene where it's just basically him standing there. This guy, though, he has encompassed the role. And one of the things about it, when Michael is in the original script, he's only referred to as the shape.
Right.
The shape of the boogeyman. That's always referred to as. So when you're watching the opening credits of the Pumpkins, and it's got everybody there, and it gives his name, and it says James Jude Courtney as the shape. I mean, I popped right there. I was like, okay, these people respect the mythology and they're putting love in this. So I mean, you got the original Sheriff Brackett returns. He's older than dirt now, but his return made sense. He wasn't trying to play sheriff in the movie. He's an old rent a cop in a damn hospital, and that's just where the action starts to go. And then he remembers, and then he talks his why he didn't shoot Myers and kill him himself. Back in '78, he's explaining that his daughter just died. So you got some nice throwbacks there. It's a fun ride, man. I got a few notes here, but I mean I think I pretty well covered a great deal of it. There's a huge twist at the ends, and since I'm giving a review and I've done warned you assholes that I'm going to spoil the shit out of this movie for you. Everyone went into this movie pretty well assuming that Jamie Lee Curtis was done. She had to die in this shit, and that Lori's chapter was over, and this is where her daughter would avenge her. And no, they fucking twisted up, and it keeps going to you keep harkening back to Judith Myers, the original kill, and the fact that he always stood in his sister's bedroom window, and that even the night he killed her, he stood in the bedroom window afterwards. So, she's a psychologist or whatever in these movies here or whatever. And even though she's wanting to kill the shit out of him, she finally at some point, after he slaughters like 30 downtown people, because Tommy Doyle led them to their deaths. Because they try to kick his ass. I mean, they put the old lynch mobbing on his ass, and he's down. And then next thing you know, he's a force of nature again, and he's wrecking shop. And so you get this little twinge where she's looking up at that window, and you kind of think it might be over. She takes her stupid ass up there, and then there's Michael, straight out the closet, grabs her, and he puts the Judith Myers kill on her, which was a nice twist to me because it's like, oh shit, because you thought she was going to be the one. And not only that, she gets killed, in iconic Judith Myers fashion, you get that same kill, same room. So I mean, and that's kind of how it ends. It's like boom, it's done.
So I haven't seen it, but what I read of it, and I was looking, and as I read it, I kind of got I wasn't sure how good it was because when I was reading, it struck me as kind of odd because as you read through the plot and you read what happens and all, for Michael Myers, for me, I'm seeing that as it's not necessarily the most gory of all of the slasher movies, horror movies like that. Like a lot of it's left to your imagination to see. Okay, he killed somebody, but how bad or how scary was that? Because he's just standing there and then he's gone and he's standing there again, and there's
But
a
this
lot
they
left to
leave
your
nothing to the imagination, and
yeah.
some of the others that was the, especially in the '78, that was John Carpenter allowed your mind
Yes,
because it's like he cuts away at certain spots at a kill scene, and your mind will always come up with something more fucked up than what the visual eye can produce.
sure.
And then that was his whole, you know, driving behind it was, first of all, it had no budget. And two, so you're not only saving on visual effects, but it is a psychological thriller at that point. So I mean, and this one here though, they spared no expense.
I guess what got me on this one because when I was reading it, and it kind of turned me off on the plot when I first read it because it's like, okay, it basically becomes the Frankenstein story. They build a lynch mob with pitchforks and
There's a
yeah.
literal pitchfork in this
And
movie. They try
I
to
was
fit
going to
in
bring
there.
that up, but they actually they get the pitchforks and the torches and they chase the monster down, and I was like, oh, why are they turning Jason into Frankenstein? That's not really his theme because you don't really see
Well,
people team up on
there's a
him.
twist on that as well because it kind of goes back to the last one. All those inmates escaped when Myers got off the bus. There's one inmate that kind of stands out to you a little bit during the opening scene when Myers was still in the institution. He's a short, fat, bald guy with long hair. He kind of looks like Danny DeVito Penguin. He's one of the ones in this one.
Yeah,
And there's
don't
a
they?
few times where they kind of misdirect you into thinking Myers is somewhere and it's him. And the people, they
Yes,
don't know what Mike looks like.
and
So this poor
don't they?
bastard's trying to turn himself in, and they chase him, and it's kind of sad. I mean, it's
They drive him to his death, which is like,
yeah,
again that Frankenstein parallel, right? Because Frankenstein wasn't the Frankenstein monster was not
he was the
evil per
victim of the
se.
story. I
Yeah,
mean,
so they kind of pull that into it. Now, what I will say that I liked about how they did that though in this was that every person in that mob had a reason to be in that mob against Jay.
oh
Everybody
yes,
had some connection to him from some previous movie or somebody that he killed or somebody who's a family member that he killed. So I liked how they did that. I just didn't understand why they were doing the whole Frankenstein's monster thing where when he is not the victim.
yeah.
Now,
Well, you and I are from a small town. I mean,
yes,
Fitzgerald, you don't get much smaller than that. I mean, we're going to be the world's largest cock town, but if that's so, if Michael Myers' story was a roll through our town where one Halloween night, a guy goes crazy and kills 5, 6 teenagers, that would be urban legend in this area for a very long time. So 40
sure.
years later, it's very easy to see in a small town where the specter of a memory would haunt the shit out of a place like that.
Yeah, and I think that it wasn't necessarily a bad thing for the movie. I just when I read it at first, I was like, why are they turning him into Frankenstein? Because Michael to me is he kills one person here, he kills two people over here that are in his way, or that he crosses paths with it to tick him off for whatever reason. But a crowd of people attacking somebody who's not necessarily always a
Well, it
supernatural
shows you
character.
the
How
dark
do
side
you?
of humanity and how easy humanity themselves can be turned into monsters. Like the
Yes,
average Joe can very quickly become a misled monster under the right circumstances, and they feel justified in it. And as soon as they realize, okay, not only was this not Mike, this man just killed himself because of the bus. It almost gives them a redeeming. Yeah, you feel like okay, they have some humanity in them enough to realize, oh my God, well, what did we just do? He turned us into monsters, which is kind of like the over-ending arc at the end. I guess that's what they're trying to get over is the fact that while he is a monster and a force of nature, he was able to turn people against people. Like it was something a little more than just I want to start killing people.
There was more psychological. Like I
Yeah.
said, that was my first impression of reading the plot, and then when I went back and read a few reviews of the plot as well, and then kind of delved into that some more, I was like, okay, now it makes a little more sense. It just struck me odd at first, and I was like, why are we doing the whole pitchfork and torches and going after him? And then again, at the end of that, he comes out on top against he slaughters like 40 people in a row here
Yeah,
from
like
this
I said,
mob.
it's got one of the highest kill counts as far as a slasher, 34, and they're pretty damn brutal. I mean, they are pretty brutal. The wife kill that I was talking about earlier with the drone. I mean, it's well, you know, fluorescent bulbs, the long ones.
Yeah.
They're pretty brittle, but it was pretty cool. He grabs one by the hand. I mean, he's burning the shit out of his hand. They're hot. He pulls it out, smashes it to where it's a piece about yay long, and then just goes straight in her throat with it. And then after he, stabs her, he pulls it out and just drops it. And you hear it, psh. That's like, oh, that's so fucking gangster. This motherfucker.
Well, since,
Oh,
well, since